6 VGK prospects are sent back to their junior teams. Details coming up next right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, and please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com. Start the season off with a big return at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Chris, the first players cut from the VGK roster are all heading back to their junior teams. Jacob Matthew, Thomas Uranen, William Kamek, Michael Hatchett, I should say, Mazden Leslie, and Shane Smith, not necessarily household names. But these players were all on the rookie faceoff roster. And Uranen, in fact, did score a goal on Sunday night in the preseason matchup against San Jose. Kamek yesterday signed a 3-year entry-level contract at VGK, and he had 3 points, 1 goal in the rookie face-off. So he is one of those guys to put on the radar to watch, and he also played on the Slovakian juniors team, so it's pretty big there in the World Juniors. And most of these early cuts will be juniors, correct? That are going to be headed back to either the WHL or the OHL, or lest I say the Q. Will they go back to the Q? No one goes back to the Q.
I don't know. I know that if there's a name you recognize in the early round of camp cuts, maybe that's not a good thing for that player. Only player that kind of caught my attention is Uranen. I hope I said the name the right way. I remember talking about him last year when I was at some of the rookie camp activities, and I remember he was just fast. I remember watching his breakaway speed. He was able to create separation in the neutral zone by going through the middle of the ice. Hope not getting mixed up on someone else, but I'm about 99% sure that's the same player. You mentioned Kamek. Yeah, you mentioned Kamek also got that entry level deal, so we'll see what he might bring to the table 4, 5, 6, 7 rookie camps down the road.
Yeah, and opening day rosters due October the 7th, and that's when you have to have the roster pared down to 23, currently at 57.
That's like 2 weeks from now, Tony. That's crazy. That's like 2 weeks.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
2 weeks.
So we're currently at 57 players. The Red Wings cut 11 players yesterday. And who's the next to go? Simon Picard, Jet Jones, Samuel Mayer, one of those guys.
Whatever names you don't recognize. That's the short version.
If their names were not in bold lettering in that email that went out initially, they're as good as done. But Uranen, actually, I think Cassidy was also talking about him and his play against the wall. And then he scored a goal, right, the other night. And Cassidy said it might not have looked like much, but this guy's got a great shot. He goes and he knows how to score, and he's got a pretty hard shot.
I mean, listen, you're getting that type of attention and you're on the first round of roster cuts. That at least that's something to take with you. That's something to take with you as a young player as motivation for the next camp. And maybe next camp he does make it. You know, maybe he does find a way to stick with the roster. Who knows? I mean, that's the interesting thing about rookies. I mean, the unfortunate side of it in Vegas is you won't necessarily. There's not a lot of development. There's kids that kind of work their way up and things like that, and hopefully we'll find a way to, see some of these guys work their way up and everything. Looking at your own, not a lot on this guy right now. Played at HIFK Helsinki. SM Liga, 4 games, nothing. Ottawa 67s of the OHL, 11 games, 6 points. Where the heck is this guy even, where do they find this guy from? That's why, I mean, obviously Finland is the answer to that, but Where was he playing? Because there's no stats on him prior to 22-23 on Hockey DB. So I'm curious to learn a little more where
I
this
wonder where he's headed.
unearthed from.
Where's he going? Where's he going to be playing next?
Probably back to the OHL, like we said, or like
OHL
you were
probably.
talking about earlier. I would assume.
Yeah.
I'm literally Googling this kid right now, trying to find more information on him. Elite Prospects goes a little deeper to some like younger leagues and things like that. But like I said, he's someone that stood out to me. I went to a few of the rookie camp activities the previous season, and I just remember watching him, and I remember writing a little bit about him and talking about him on the podcast. And the fact that Cassidy's mentioning stuff about him, there's something there.
Yeah, there's definitely something there for sure. So the next preseason game will be on Wednesday. Do you know how many players, NHL players, have to be on the ice for these preseason games?
They do have rules about that. I remember.
I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
It's 8 players. It's 8 players. So you have to have 8 players that have had some sort of NHL experience. So last night I was trying to figure out who some of the 8 might be. And I think we'll see Zach Ashton Reese, because he's been up for a cup of coffee. Has your guy Denisenko been up?
He played the first game.
Yeah. At some point we'll see Dorofeyev. Oh, that's right. He played already. We'll see Dorofeyev, I think, right? We'll see Matthias Sapovalev. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I think you're going to see lines. Is what I mean on the Vegas Golden Knights side. Players we expect to see. You're going to see, I think, complete lines. We saw
there'll be at least one, though, right? At least one complete line on Wednesday for the VGK fans.
I would be surprised if it was 2, to be completely honest with you.
Okay, that's
the
fair.
home games are going to have more regulars than the road games. The home games are where they put a little more emphasis as far as getting the regulars their opportunities. I mean, they don't need to travel if they don't have to, so why not keep them at home? So I will project maybe like one full defensive pairing, and then
it would be
two-ish full lines right now.
It'll be White Cloud in the pairing, right? It's got to be. I think they'll go.
I mean, White Cloud McNabb, fine. There you go.
They'll go with him and McNabb, and then in net, our projection for Wednesday night. Do you think we'll see the Lindbaum and Vikman pairing there in net? They'll split it up, because I don't know who else.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're on the ball on that one.
Okay, yeah. Who else would they want to utilize?
I don't think you see Samsonov or Hill yet.
Okay, I mean, how deep do you think they'll go before we see that complete first line? When will the dress rehearsal be for this team?
Games, whatever the last 2 home games are. Well, it's kind of strange because their third game is this Friday, and that's a little bit early. So my guess is games 5 and 6 are the 2 games where you'll see as close to the Vegas Golden Knights as you're going to see out there. And betting advice, those are the games to bet the Golden Knights, because they're going to be probably a sizable favorite, but it's worth it.
Do you think after the next game we'll see more more players getting cut and sent back?
Probably. I don't know what the schedule is. I'm sure it's I don't know if it's like the NFL where there's cut down days where they got to get to a certain number by this date and that date, or if it's just by October the 7th, here's the roster and go.
I think that's what it has to be. You have to be cap compliant, of course, and then get it down to those 23 players that are going to be sticking and finagle the books and all that. That's part of the fun, but down to 57. Next one might be in double figures, because there still are a lot of players that won't see the light of day, right? So you might be down into the 40s, I think, after the next cuts, but it's pretty interesting how that's going. Last night, so I caught now. So what was the big controversy? Why were people zoning in on this Utah hockey team, and what were they saying out there? I caught a little bit of your tweet that you sent out. It was what made me think about that was this was supposed to be the Frozen Fury game that VGK.
I saw that. I saw you talking about that.
Yeah, I had a flashback there. So this was supposed to be that game, but then they announced Utah as, playing there as the new franchise for Utah and in Salt Lake City. And then the Kings decided to play Utah versus the LA Kings, which was kind of cool. But what were people kind of ticked off about last night?
I don't know if ticked off is the word, but Cole Bagley, he's the digital insider for the Utah Hockey Club on KSL Sports. So, obviously there's a little bit of homerism going on right there, and that's fine. First time Utah takes the ice for their preseason game. Here's the tweet. Simply unreal. The NHL belongs in Utah. This is a playoff atmosphere for a preseason game. The arena is pretty much full. And he was right. The arena was pretty much full, unlike it was in San Jose for the debut of the 24 number 1 overall draft pick. It was exciting. The seats did look full. He used the word playoff atmosphere. Okay. So a lot of gatekeepers on social media. This is not playoff hockey. You haven't even been around. Blah blah blah. Just dragging them and say, guys, listen, chill out. This is exciting. They're excited here, and honestly, I don't think it's going to be too long for them to experience what playoff hockey is in Utah, because that's a pretty good team, especially of under 25-year-olds who is now a year older from the last time I said that. Plus, there's other players coming in. Utah is going to be a tough out this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But point is, let them have their fun. I mean, in Vegas, I'm sure we overreacted to a ton of things early on. I mean, a little different scenario with the emotions, but still, there was a lot of overreactions, I'm sure, in season 1.
Time out. You're talking about season 1 reactions? People were celebrating. I mean, were they going to have a locker room champagne celebration after beating San Jose the other night? The way the media was reacting here? Season 1. Okay. Coming up next, we talk about some of the comments that Bruce Cassidy made after the Golden Knights' victory in San Jose. That comes your way next. Yeah, they should have had a huge celebration there, Golick. Next, Locked On Golden Knights. Start the season off with a big return at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view the live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place that first $5 bet. Again, that's FanDuel.com. It is America's #1 sportsbook, and you could check out a lot of action here. So this upcoming weekend, I've got Rebel football on Saturday over at Allegiant. Get your tickets now. Of course, that's going to be a big game at 12:30 kickoff on Saturday against Fresno State. And then on Sunday, the Raiders return to the field. You can see the numbers right there on FanDuel as they take on the Cleveland Browns. Yes, it's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. I was a little bit harsh there. I'll apologize to no one. Headed into that break. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. Of course, find us where you get your podcast. And please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. That's where you can now find the weekly Saturday edition of the Chris and Chris Jr. Show, the YouTube exclusive. Of course, download our podcast every day. We appreciate the more than 100,000 people that have downloaded our podcast. So thank you so much. Moving up to number 3. Do you know what country is number 3 now of listeners? Singapore. How do we have that many fans in Singapore?
Huge in Singapore.
I mean, do we have any players from Singapore? No. I'm just curious. Okay. So we're getting a lot of downloads.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It's pretty crazy, right? So I get the feeling that Bruce Cassidy likes what Tanner Pearson brings to the table. They can't talk enough about this guy now. And I got to be honest with you, Golick was the first one to say, no, this guy's not just a PTOer. He will make the roster. And so you sold me on it with all the stats and analytics and whatever you threw at us. So that was cool. And that's going back to when they first signed him. But Cassidy said the other night that he is as advertised. He played on the line with Brett Howden and Keegan Colasar. Brendan Brisson is out of luck right now. He talked about, it was kind of fun. He talked about winning that foot race at the end of the game to get the empty net goal. And the teammates were razzing him, so to speak. And He's going to be a starter on opening night. Let's start off with just some of the comments that Cassidy made, and particularly how he is now, like, he's all in, I think, on Tanner Pearson.
All in for a fourth liner might be a big way to put that, but it's for the best of the team. I think we talked about the lines, and I think the way the Golden Knights lined up for the opening couple days of training camp was just outstanding as far as the lines they deployed, and having Brett Howden in a fourth line prominent role will be much better for him, much better for the team. And Howden, I mean, he's not going to score a lot of goals, but I'll take 6-7 goals from Brett Howden on the fourth line versus 6-7 goals from Brett Howden on the second or third line. That's definitely a better place for him, and he's better in that defensive energy role. And when the opportunity comes, Howden has a chance to basically become the 24-25 version of Michael Amadio, going up and down the lineup, helping wherever is needed, because there's going to be injuries and things are definitely going to happen. Why are we talking so much about Brett Howden on the fourth line? That's what opens up the opportunity for Tanner Pearson to be on the wing. If Brett Howden was looked somewhere else, maybe Tanner Pearson lines up somewhere else. Like if Brett Howden was going to be the fourth line left wing, Nick Waugh the third line or the fourth line center, now all of a sudden you have an opening somewhere in the top 9 or even the top 6, depending how it shakes out. That's how Brisson would get entered into the lineup. So that's the decision the Golden Knights are going to have to make. And they're not going to make their decision around, Brett Howden, how that's going to, impact the season going forward. But you do look at, at building the lines and things like that. And I think it's best if Howden is down low. Nick Waugh up on the third line is a good thing. And then Tanner Pearson, with his 600 plus games of NHL experience, can be really good in that fourth line role. And we'll see how he adapts to the system. Winning those battles, winning those foot races. It's the same things. Like I'm so thankful for all the time I've had around Coach Cassidy, because as I coach my 10U hockey team, it's the same things I tell them. Guys, be the first one to the puck. When that puck is in the corner, win the battle. I remember I actually show videos of my kids of the games that they play that you can download. And there was one great goal where there's like 2 kids battling in the corner. One kid falls on his butt, gets up, comes out with the puck, gets it to the point shoots it, and we have someone right there in what we call the money zone to clean up the loose change and get us a goal. But it's the same thing, whether it's 10U hockey, OHL, QMJ, CHO, KHL, any of those stuff, it's all the same. If your players are out there winning their battles, winning their races, getting the puck to the dirty areas, good things happen. That's how you impress Coach Cassidy on the first preseason game.
Yeah, and do you sway a lot when you're talking to the kids too, back and forth?
I don't think so.
I know Cassidy did state that they have not worked on the PK yet.
I'm surprised you didn't tell us. Cassie did have a little of the boat going. The boat was rocking a little bit when he first.
It was rocking after the game, but why? What's he nervous about? Is that just I hate preseason games? That kind of swaying back and forth there. Haven't worked much on the PK, he said. San Jose did get some good looks, but we were on the other.
Oh God, that Celebrini goal! I just all I saw at first was the shots. And then I watched the entire play. I think Max Miller from the Hockey News had the entire power play up, and the puck was in the zone the entire time. Someone broke a stick. It was a comedy of errors there, but good goal by Celebrini.
Yeah, so they're going to tackle that this week. He did talk. Cassidy spoke very highly of Celebrini after the game.
The 60-foot backhand pass.
He goes, the 60-foot backhand pass. San Jose's got a good one there. He kind of did not want to talk much about it. And then Cassidy also talking about mashing up the lines again. It's okay to do this now. But one of the only criticisms I have about Cassidy was just, I thought he did it too much later on, even before a lot of those injuries started to take shape, the way he mixed up lines this past season. If you're talking about, hey, their buzzword is chemistry here, and you're not going to get chemistry by mixing up all the lines and putting them in a blender. I'm sorry.
It's situational, and I think the difference this year versus last year is you had so much more experience, Marchessault, Chandler Stevenson, Michael Amadio, players who you can put anywhere in this roster, in this lineup, and they'll get results. They'll be fine. It's not going to be like their line is, uncomfortable out there. Now you have possibly a Brendan Brisson, but then you have Dorofeev, then you have Alex Holtz, and you have Victor Olofsson. Olofsson's got experience. The other players not as much. So you start moving around the lesser experienced players mid-game. That can cause, that can make things a little more difficult. I'm sure Cassidy understands that too. I don't know. I was trying to think if I felt like the lines were getting jumbled a lot last year. Obviously injuries, yes. But I don't know. I know in season 1, I remember there was a couple of times when I felt he did a good job jumbling the lines, but then came back with the same lines and it didn't get a whole lot. But the net result of Cassidy's first season was just fine. So not going to criticize him for how he handled the lines. Just some other notes that I had from Cassidy. He mentioned the nice save on the 2-on-1 by Kira Schmid. That's when I put my tweet out there that Schmid's going to win the Vezina this year. It's a joke, folks. Right?
That was good. That was good. I like that.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. Yeah.
Maybe he will. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. Be the projection of the century. But right before he mentioned they got picked at center ice. What led to the opportunity? And that's one of the things that bothered Cassidy. Cassidy's not going to judge the outcome of this game based on X's and O's and doing structural things. But Gary Lawless did mention if he felt Cassidy was. He asked if Cassidy was seeing things they're working on in practice, and Cassidy kind of said there's not a whole lot you can work on. But then Cassidy did mention one of the things they did work on was, I think, protecting the puck, and then they got picked at center ice, and Schmid bailed him out, so thankful for that. So, yeah, I mean, it's good. We're reacting to hockey games with people wearing a Vegas Golden Knights logo. I don't know a lot of the guys wearing the logos, but we're reacting to hockey with people wearing Vegas Golden Knights and San Jose Sharks logos. So it's exciting.
Yeah, at least now moving forward, I think the preseason games are going to have that look and feel of the VGK broadcast.
Friday against Utah, nevertheless. That'll be the one, I think, where there's a real good buzz in the air. People will be excited to see Utah, number one. And number two, you'll probably see at least 2 full lines. You'll probably see of the 18, 19, 20, of the 20 players that'll be dressed for that game, I would say 8 prominent NHLers and a good complement of Henderson Silver Knights out there.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty interesting. And when do they really need to start? I think the first preseason game for Henderson, I think don't quote me on this, I think it's October the 4th or thereabouts.
It's in October, I can tell you that much.
So they're going to have to start getting that roster set as well, right? Pretty soon.
It'll take care of itself, but yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to have to do that. We were talking about cuts and all that in the first segment. So
yeah, I mean, you're not going to open the Silver Knights camp, obviously, until the Golden Knights have enough players to send down there.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty interesting to watch all these roster moves. I do like to see how they have the composition of the team and who sticks, who doesn't, how they're going to move a lot of these parts around. I like that part of the game, to be honest with you.
For sure. That's fun.
And then one other thing that Cassidy did mention, and I was going back because we might have missed some of his pressers over the weekend. He really confused the heck out of me when he was talking about how the defensive pairings came about, except for the part that, Haig and Hannafin, that was a result of Shea Theodore's injury last year. So all these ramifications, right, and how it's impacted Shea Theodore. And then Theodore moves from the right to the left side now defensively. So that's going to have to work its way out too, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Shea Theodore, long time NHL vet now. I don't know about that, but he's obviously day one misfit and a little bit of experience before Vegas. So Theodore, he'll be just fine. I think he can definitely adapt, and I think a lot of this season is going to be emotion based for Theodore, looking to. I've mentioned I feel Theodore has something to prove to the Golden Knights. I definitely feel he's got something to prove. And the problem is if he plays too well, you've talked about this, Tony, if he does too well, he's going to play himself out of a contract. But if he doesn't play that well, that doesn't help the Golden Knights because they need him to, become that point in about every 80% of his games or something like that, and obviously staying healthy. So if Theodore could be on the ice for 70% of the games, for 70 games, he's going to score about 50 to 55, maybe even 60 points, which would be absolutely remarkable. And then what do? You're not just going to let him walk? That would be terrible if they let him walk. Wait a minute. We've done this before. If they let a day one misfit just walk away and couldn't get anything in return for him because it seemed like they might get a contract with him. But yeah, okay. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, he exceeded his projected scoring this season.
What if Theodore, okay, Napkin, What if Theodore has a career season, Tony? Put that on the napkin.
Okay.
Seriously. What if Theodore has a career season? That's a napkin topic right there. That's a good one.
Okay, hang on. Theo career. Okay.
That's
Coming
a good
up
topic
next.
for tomorrow, maybe.
Okay, perhaps.
Oh, you hate talking about Shea Theodore. You're tired of Shea Theodore.
I have Theodore fatigue. I did not go on his Instagram page there. Oh, but Mark Stone, I think,
probably one of the girls though.
Mark Stone is bringing congratulations. He's bringing a new child. Him and his wife.
Yes, definitely.
New child into the world. So congratulations. Coming up next, a farewell to Kirk Brooks, the man who brought hockey pretty much to the Las Vegas Ice Center. We'll talk about him and all that coming up next right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. We are driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you to find quality candidates and fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, for screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you to hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences each and every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more that you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join the more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show, Locked On Golden Knights, you will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying that you heard about it right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Again, just go to Indeed.com/lockedon, support our show, Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. We are also brought to you today by PrizePicks. That's right, our new sponsor. And it is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pretty much pick more or less on the 2 to 6 player stat projections and then just watch the winnings roll in. That's right. It's a lot of fun. And you can win now up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half, if your player doesn't return, PrizePicks, your picks are still live. That is correct. Don't forget today to download the PrizePicks app and use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you will receive $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code LOCKEDONNHL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. And one other sponsor. No, I think we're done with those sponsorship reads. That was a long one, man. I was running out of gas kind of early in the day there.
Need more coffee. Need more gas station coffee.
We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. So, Kirk Brooks, the owner and the president of the Las Vegas Ice Center, it's right there on Flamingo, right as soon as you pretty much get off of the 215. Owner of LVIC, owner and the person that started the Vegas Storm passed away this past weekend. So condolences going out to his family. Can you talk about the impact that Kirk Brooks had on hockey here in the local community?
Can talk about the Las Vegas Ice Center for a little bit. Las Vegas Ice Center, it's definitely different than City National and obviously America First Arena, former Lifeguard Arena in Henderson. It's a traditional, old school, hockey barn. In the sense it's got lower ceilings. It's a little bit dated. It's a little more rustic, if you will. But I don't know if Pepsi Center, what's that?
Would they call it bad ice there? Perhaps at times.
No, it's different. So the ice, I believe, one of the rinks is actually like a sand base instead of cement base. So it's a little tackier, actually. And I personally like skating there. I actually enjoy the ice better at the Las Vegas Ice Center than I do at City National and at Lifeguard Arena. I just like it better there. But what I will say is, just looking on the website a little bit here, Las Vegas Ice Center has been going since 2003. The very first prospect skates for the Vegas Golden Knights didn't happen at City National, didn't happen at T-Mobile. They happened at Las Vegas Ice Center. There's old pictures of Alex Tuck and many of the young Vegas Golden Knights prior to the 2017-18 season getting going at the Las Vegas Ice Center. And there's one of the banners, I don't know which rink it's on, but there's a banner basically for a lot of the players, and not just players, but players that have also like figure skaters and stuff like that who have gone on to Olympics and things like that, all of their awards and stuff. I think Jason Zucker went through one of the youth organizations or spent some time out here playing. I don't know if it's with the Storm or who it was, but point is, I don't know if Pepsi Center was first, the Fiesta rink, or if it's LVIC. I don't know.
I seem to I want to say that I remember
the Crystal Palace also.
Well, the Crystal Palace I remember was probably that was first. Okay. And then it's pretty much a toss-up. But I thought that was that another ice rink before it was LVIC?
So there was two rinks in there. I believe there was an inline rink and an ice rink. Oh, you know where there was ice? Off Sahara at the Las Vegas Event Center.
Oh, wow.
There used to be ice there a long, long time ago. Then it became an inline facility that I actually reffed a lot of games at. And then they just went to events probably about 3 or 4 years ago. But point being is, you got 2 sheets of ice at the Las Vegas Ice Center. Anyone who is a little bit older, like who's been involved in hockey for about the last 10 years, at least from a youth perspective, they most likely started their hockey at the Las Vegas Ice Center, people that are older, obviously. And, you wonder if a place like the Las Vegas Ice Center is never built if we have the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a very important part of the history. And obviously sports is going to start with the youth, whether you fall in love with the game or if that's what draws adults to follow the game and things like that. So it's, terrible to hear about the passing, and obviously condolences to the family and everything. And it's a different rink. If you haven't been to Las Vegas Ice Center, it's right off of Flamingo and Fort Apache. You walk in there, it's much different than walking into City National or Lifeguard Arena. It's not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. It's a good thing, in my opinion. The bar in there, Brooksie's, I think it's called, great restaurant, inexpensive bar food, ice cold drinks, and it's a cool
and hockey culture. Like that's where the entire.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
You're good. That's what I was going to say. It's you have like after the game, the beer league, for example. There's the guys in the bar. Yeah. No, I shouldn't say it like that. The players are in the bar. You got men and women playing now, but all the players are in the bar afterwards, hamming it up, and it's exchanging stories about their glory years and everything. And I've been guilty of having a few up there with the boys after the game and stuff. And it's it's a cool environment, and it's important to the history of Las Vegas hockey. And I'll say it again, I don't know if we can't go back in a time machine and find out, but I would say that if the Las Vegas Ice Center wasn't there, there's a chance the Vegas Golden Knights never would have been here.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It was the epicenter of hockey here. And again, the gathering place. I remember calling out there, going back a few years, to see if they were going to be showing the Rangers, I think, were playing, and I wanted to watch some playoff hockey, right? And we wound up going out there, me and a bunch of my friends, to Brooksy's bar. I just remember the pizza was good, right?
Yeah,
the pizza's really good.
It's good bar pizza.
The pizza is really good there.
It's good bar pizza.
First exposed to like a lot of beer leagues, and then I used to be involved with Jerry Bruckheimer's Bad Boys of Hockey, and so back in the day, they would be playing a lot of their games there. Oh, it's just madness for 3 days, around the clock, just beer, drinking, parties galore, fun. Alan Thicke would play in that. Bruckheimer would play in that. Cuba Gooding Jr. would play in that. So those were some really fun days and long nights there at the Ice Center. But yeah, definitely the culture of the Ice Center, I think, is where a lot of this all, started. I really do believe that. And speaking of Bruckheimer, remember, I think it was, 2008 when he wanted to bring hockey to the desert. Do you remember that? He was the first one that wanted to bring a hockey team here.
What year was this?
Oh, wait. 2008, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Around there, 2008.
Yeah, no, I heard stories back when I first moved out here about different clubs maybe looking to relocate and stuff like that. It was a little soon, but I mean,
now he's with Seattle, right? With the Kraken. I think he's the ownership group there. So in any event, once again, condolences to the Brooks family, and that hopefully still continues to thrive.
And thank you to the Brooks family for what they've done to hockey in the Valley.
Yeah, and that pizza was awfully good. We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. Thank you so much. Of course, don't forget Fridays, WTF, and on Saturdays, the Chris and Chris Jr. show, which made its triumphant return.
We're so back.
We are so back. I saw your tweet. That's awesome. Of course, it made its debut for the season. It's like SNL. I mean, really.
We'll have a post-game report on Saturday because me and Chris will be in the building for the Utah game on Friday.
Oh, wow. How about that?
He's excited. He is so excited to see Utah and their new jerseys and stuff. He's so excited.
He is? Okay, yeah. That'll be great. I don't
know if I'm going tomorrow night. I don't know if I can make it tomorrow night because I'm working, but Friday definitely I'll be there.
For my man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Kardasco. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on Lockdown Golden Knights. And please, folks,